fortunately, there are a lot of doctors speaking out right now, and I have so much like gratitude for all the other, not only doctors, but like NPs, DOs, chiropractors, like nurse practitioners, all these amazing people who are speaking up and getting a lot of shit for it. But this is very tribal, you know, and I think that when you think about, and it's hard, like this is a primal instinct to not break out of the pact and to not go against what the norm is. So I think in a lot of ways what we're dealing with like here is going to come down to like how courageous are we willing to be to move humanity back, and by humanity very much also the Earth's health, because they're interconnected. They're one and the same. How courageous are we going to be to stand up for that? Or are we going to let things slip through our fingers? And I think the tribe, when I was in medical school, like it's amazing because of the interest and the fact that, you know, Stanford got a $3 million grant from Pfizer while I was there to revamp the curriculum, and the fact that the American Diabetes Association that makes clinical guidelines is getting millions of dollars from Coke and Cadbury, and the American Diabetes Association is getting millions of dollars from Mead Johnson that makes formula, and Abbott Nutrition that makes formula, and vaccine companies that make flu vaccines. Like the fact that the money, I mean, 8,000 major conflicts of interest were just reported at the NIH with food and pharma. So at every level, the medical guidelines that if you step out of, you are at risk for litigation as a doctor, and the NIH, you know, this thing that we all respect, tons of conflicts of interest, and the medical schools accepting money. The tribe that then you become a part of as a trainee is a tribe that only hears one thing. And so I have a lot of compassion for doctors, because I did go through medical school and not learn any of the things that I had to learn after to actually figure out how to help myself and others truly generate foundational cellular health to be healthy. Like I just look back at what I've had to learn since medical school. You know, I learned about basically organ-specific physiology, pharmacology, and then in residency, I learned how to do surgery. And then, of course, throughout the whole thing, I learned how to bill. But that is ultimately, those are not the tools that actually generate foundational cellular health. You know, 80% of medical schools in the United States don't require a single nutrition course, not 1 minute of nutrition. And yet 90% of our healthcare costs are tied to diseases. The things that are torturing American lives are tied to food. And doctors, it's not a hammer in our toolbox. I didn't learn at Stanford Medical School that 95% of the people on the USDA Food Guidelines for America Committee had a conflict of interest with the food industry. I didn't learn that there were 8,000 conflicts of interest at the NIH. I didn't learn that there are 8 billion tons of plastic on planet Earth that are degrading into estrogen, analogs. I did not learn that there's 6 billion pounds of pesticides sprayed on our global food supply every single year, most from China and Germany, and that these are literally tied very strongly to Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, obesity, mitochondrial dysfunction, infertility, ADHD, liver dysfunction. I didn't learn that, simply taking 7,000 steps per day can slash your risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, even gastric reflux by 40 to 60%. And the average American's walking 3,500 steps per day. Like, we're literally just not moving as a country. And if you just walk a little bit, 7,000 steps, which takes like 45 minutes, you slash your risk of every major, chronic disease. I didn't learn that we need to be getting sunlight because circadian biology dictates our cellular health. Like, we are diurnal animals that have biologic processes that happen during the day and other biologic processes that happen at night. And the way your body knows whether it's day or night is if you get photons hitting your retina and your skin cells. Pretty basic, pretty foundational for human health. Didn't learn anything about it. Didn't learn anything about sunlight. Didn't learn anything about photons. Didn't learn anything about sleep. We're sleeping 20% less on average than we were 100 years ago. And sleep is a huge risk factor. You can, in an experimental setting, take a young, healthy person and subject them to sleep deprivation for 5 nights and they become pre-diabetic. Well, 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic and type 2 diabetic, and we're not sleeping well. And I didn't learn not 1 minute on sleep. So all the things and so many more, and of course, nothing about nutrition. And Marty Makary talks about this, like, I certainly didn't learn that medical error and medication is the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. I learned that patient comes in and I need to label their diagnosis and give them a pill. So it's when I speak of the tribalism, it's like I have so much compassion for doctors who feel stuck right now. They're stuck in a broken system. The tribe that they're a part of has taught them a certain set of things. There are huge trillions of dollars of interest to make the things that they learn a specific myopic lens. And putting together dots is risky because if you step outside the guidelines, you're at risk for intense litigation and potentially ridicule. I mean, I'm called pseudoscientific, alt-right, woo-woo caucus all the time. And so that's scary. And I think that fundamentally, this is again why it comes down to like, this is actually more of a consciousness and spiritual issue, because it's like, we need to pray for courage. We need to sit down every morning and decide what we want for the future. What do we want? We're all players. We're all important. We all need to use our voices. Being complicit, like, what future do we want and what are we willing to do for it? And get our priorities straight. Is our priority like our house and our mortgage and our boat and our comfortable life that's killing us? Or is it to elevate, to be stewards of the future and of the planet and to make some harder choices? And I think one thing I would just say, if there are doctors listening, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but like, this tribe on the other side, that I think we're all in, of like promoting health, like, it's beautiful and people are really healthy and happy and it's not that hard and it's not that expensive. And everyone is welcome here in this tribe of trying to move humanity towards more harmonious, future. And everyone is welcome. It's bipartisan. It's really about like Brigham was saying, like, this is about team humanity, and team humanity always by extension will be team planet because they're interconnected. And so I think we need to break out of that sort of like more our past, human selves of tribalism and really realize like we need to be brave. We need to be courageous. We need to fight for life. And it's pretty bright and wonderful when we start doing that.